Hi everyone, I'm Giuseppe Mamano. If you want to know everything about Venetian plaster, stay tuned for this video. We're gonna use two trout. The first trout a little bit bigger, and this is for the first, second coat, third coat. And we use this trowel for compress at the end our Venetian plaster and make it shine and beautiful. This is gonna be our first coat of Venetian plaster. And as you see, I'll start from the top corner. If we have a wall, like on this video here, I start from the top. So we start from the corner. I usually start from the left of the wall if I can. Don't put a lot of Venetian plaster on your trowel. You can see that it's just a little. With a little Venetian plaster, you can do a lot. If you put a lot of Venetian plaster in your trowel, it's going to be a mess because it's not like the normal stucco or plaster that you use. It's a little bit more liquid. Now, on the first coat, I apply a little bit more Venetian plaster on the wall than the last and third coat that I will apply before I compress it. Last coat is going to be kind of a thin layer. Now you see, when I go back on the plaster, I always go to dry, from dry to wet. You can see that I kind of take my time on doing this little panel. It's just a normal panel of, it's a drywall panel, just to let you see how am I doing. And you can see the here, working in the wall, I go a little bit faster because that's what happens when you have big walls. On the job, I was working by myself, so I have to do pretty quick, especially the third layer, that before it dry completely, you gotta compress to give the shiny. Okay, now we are done with the first coat. We're gonna let it dry for a day. Now we are starting with the second coat. There's pretty much the same thing that we did with the first coat, but now I apply a little bit less Venetian plaster. Now, what I want to tell you, before you apply the Venetian plaster, after you're sure that your wall are nice and smooth, and sometime you can use a normal plaster, couple coat of plaster on your wall to make it smooth, or they have something called marmorino, so you can do 1-2 coat of marmorino, smooth your wall. But before I apply marmorino or the grassello, I use a primer. There is no one of the normal primer that you use for walls. It's a lime-based primer. That's what you gotta use. So you're gonna let our Venetian plaster attach in the wall. So I'm almost done here with the second coat. I did pretty much the same thing. I just use less Venetian plaster. You gotta let the Venetian plaster dry. Usually I do all day, like 24 hours, before give another coat. Now, second coat, we're gonna let it dry for a day, and we're gonna give the third coat using the same trowel, the big trowel, a little bit more flexible, and after it's done, we're gonna use this smaller trowel that's a little bit more hard, and before it dry completely, we're gonna compress and give the final shiny, beautiful Venetian plaster look. Now, third and last coat of our Venetian plaster. Now at this point, I really leave a tiny layer of Venetian plaster on the wall. And you can see already that something is happening. You can see some different colors showing up. Now, what I like to do on the last coat usually, I just give a little stroke and try to put one on top of the other one. You see how we go, like still from dry to wet. And how you move your trowel, you make kind of the design. You can already see it. Some people like it just to do 2 coats. It does if your wall is nice and good prepared, you just can give it the first coat and the second coat and just compress. But I like to do 2 coats plus the third coat and compress. That's my preference. Now let it dry for a little bit. And now with my special trowel that I use just to compress, I'm checking if it's ready. You don't have to be completely dry, but you can feel in your trowel when it's the right. You see that now I do very, very slow. I don't compress much. I'm trying to see if it's ready. Always clean your trowel, because some of the Venetian plaster, especially at this stage, because it's still a little bit wet, that's why I go very slow. And your trowel gotta be in an angle and just compress with one side of your trowel. Now you see, my trowel does some resistance, that's why I don't go too hard on it. And what I'm doing now, it was more dry, so you can really... I go on an angle with my trowel. This kind of feel that you get, even here, you see, what here was more dry, so I could apply more pressure on my Venetian plaster. Now, it's very hard for me, I try to explain my best, but when you do it, you get the feel and everything. If you try and practice on it, you can understand. It's very hard to explain. I hope whatever I'm doing here, it helps somehow for you guys. They're asking me so many questions in my 2 videos that I kind of put it together for you guys and get a better explanation. Venetian plaster is beautiful. It's a lot of work, but at the end is amazing. I feel so good when I have done one of my work. Now, after you compress your wall, you're done with your Venetian plaster. It's going to be nice and shiny. But sometimes, if it's a kitchen or it's a bathroom where there's water or can be damaged, you can put some wax, like I'm doing in this video. And after you can buff it, and that you will make your Venetian plaster more protect for in case some oil gets spilled or something. Not everybody asks, but it's good to do it. Now at this point, I'm done with the Venetian plaster, and this is the result. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm very glad to help you. And this is how it looks. The final product. And this is a pillar that I did in the same job. For the pillar is the same thing, but just a little more tricky. We're gonna love Venetian plaster. It's amazing. Best wall in the world. Alright guys, we are done for today. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you guys enjoy, and subscribe my channel because I will be doing soon another video of Venetian plaster. Ask me any question in the comment and I will answer everything. Thank you so much. See ya.